Walk in the sun, oh, pack my hopes, ready to go on our way. Hey guys, welcome back to the Bucket Think Tank, another round of comic chat. And yeah, we've been a bit all over the place lately. We've been there's that other project we're working on, as well as the Yu-Gi-Oh comic run talk, as well as a bunch of horrible, horrible things happening at work that have just sort of led me to just sort of not be able to do this as much as I'd like. But is what it is. So I had some time, so I figured, like, you know what? Let's continue the comic chat because hey, um, we got three more books to talk about, and we're gonna get right into it with Sandman issue 5. We're almost there. We're almost there at the end. Oh, but first, before I forget, our Funko, Magica Dispel. I know. Really, Magica. Well, why not Magica? She's awesome. All right. Well, the '87 version of Magic is awesome. I always feel like the Catherine Tate one, while she does a great performance, is it's too funny. Like, it's too funny. Like, it's probably with a lot of the D17 villains that they're just too funny. All right, it's like they undercut all the threat with humor, and I feel that, and I hate it because it always sounds like I'm just giving so much of a pass to the '87 Ducktales, but those villains were consistently threatening and funny at the same time. Like, they could do both. And I don't know. Maybe it's just the way television's gone. It's like they really want to go for Bill Cipher, but couldn't really commit to Bill Cipher. Like, they couldn't make it a proper Bill Cipher. Well, whatever. So anyway. So here we are. Wesley is now on his way to to interrogate the Colonel. One of the two people he talked to about his project for the war, for a gentler kind of form of warfare. All right, and that's pretty much it. He thought it'd be Mr. Vanderbilt, but turned it wasn't Vanderbilt. But whatever. So he's talking to the police about what happened, and luckily he's sort of able to play it off like, hey, yeah, that guy. I want to talk to Mr. Vanderbilt. Saw him hurt Mr. Vanderbilt, so I went after him. He fell. Boop boop ba doop. It's kind of it. There's a lot of dialogue here, but really all it's really there to point out is just sort of what's going on. And Wesley has his butler look after Mr. Vanderbilt while he's recovering, and everyone's sort of understanding, like, hey, Wes is the hero. He saved Mr. Vanderbilt. There we go. So anyway, he's on his way to Fort Hamilton in Brooklyn, and he's like to sort of find Colonel Brackenbridge, and we get more into Wesley's head considering what he'd seen before. He's sort of got a new perspective on this. He mentions that he doesn't bear any ill will to these soldiers, these young men, are devoting their lives to service, like, fighting the good fight. He's just someone who doesn't like war. That's kind of it. But with the experience he had under that gas, he's a bit apprehensive on using it. Instead of giving them nightmares, he's going to put them to sleep, and that's fair. That's fair. I think Wesley is sort of reaching sort of the same sort of epiphany that Batman's had, in the sense that maybe you can go too far. Maybe you should always hold back. Maybe you should just knock some people out as opposed to breaking their bones. Like, it's sort of it. But with Wesley, like, what? Everyone doesn't need nightmares from hell. Sometimes you just need to sleep. Especially considering the fact that pretty much everyone here is just doing their job, serving in the military. So goes in, boop boop doop, and it pretty much feels like a level of Arkham Asylum. Like, okay, the guards can't see me. Like, it's Arkham Origins. Okay, they can't see you. All right, they see you. There's a problem. So you go in, doop 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 doop. Ooh, no. Shh. Go to sleep. And smoke bomb, and we go from there. So he finds Colonel Malcolm Breckenbridge and interrogates him. All right. And I don't know, maybe I forgot the fact that in the first issue he was missing his arm. I think it's because I was still not quite sure if I wanted to go through Riley Rosmo's art. And here I am, 5 issues in, and I don't hate it. This one's a bit weird, but you know what? He looks like the Terminator, the first one. But anyway, so he talks about him like, hey, you know what? I know you've been trained to resist certain interrogation techniques, but doesn't matter. You're gonna tell me what I need to know. All right. So he pretty much points out that, hey, why'd you go after? Why would you show any interest in Dodd? Oh, like I wanted to size him up, figure out the kind of man he was. And, if he was in it for the money, if he was motivated by the cause, and didn't wasn't impressed. But his work, yeah, the sort of gentle warfare, yeah, not a fan of it. Not a fan of it. And he talks about, hey, like, you know what? I want his research. I want to give it to the right people, and I knew that would help us win the war. A lot of this is sort of an ends justifies the means approach to war. We're coming up on World War II, so yeah, Breckinridge sort of sees the writing on the wall that America will at some point be involved in World War II. Well, sort of what will become World War II. He wants to get a jump on it, and the question really is about war crimes. Is what is a war crime? It's like nah. And he sort of points out, like, who decides what's a war crime? The politicians, the elected officials, the judge. No. You know what doesn't matter? You know what the truth is? Victory is unimpeachable. All right? And that's sort of what he's going like. The ends justify the means. Like, winning fixes everything. And historically, that's true. You can get away with a lot as any leader if you win the war. No one really cares how the war started if your side wins. Like, okay, yeah, sure, we won. We're good. Everyone gets to go home. There we go. So he's like, well, you know what? I think that was good for the information, Colonel. And, the police are on the way, and I'm sure they'll make the right decision when they hear what you said. He's like, I'm not going to tell you anything. It's okay. They don't have to believe me. I've been recording you this whole time. And, yeah, that's sort of interesting as the police come in and they hear everything. Even Breckinridge sort of realizes this is it. This is it. Like, the people who's manipulated to get this far and everything, it's sort of it for him. It's sort of it for him. This is the thing is, in the same way that winning fixes everything, he has to win first. And now he's already been exposed. So, meanwhile, it turns out the bad guy actually was Vanderbilt as he assaults Wesley's butler, So, yeah, he calls him like, hey, you know what? Your country thanks you for your sacrifice. You're the first casualty of war. And that's sort of how the comic ends. So, I was a bit disappointed that Vanderbilt turned out to be the bad guy. But going off of what we had, it had to be Vanderbilt, when in doubt, if there's a rich old guy who's like a surrogate father figure to you, he's probably going to be the bad guy. I mean, that's basically the plot of Star Wars. What is Palpatine but an old rich guy who's basically Anakin's surrogate father? And if you misread the comic that came out, what was it, last year? You thought he actually was his father. But, that wasn't the case. Overall, though, Wesley Dodd's Sandman is sort of middling on a bit. It needs a bit more of a kick. I think this mystery needs to be dragged out some more to really sort of put in the right direction. Some more red herrings. But so far, everything leads in pretty much a straight line. And I think Wesley needs another push. And maybe this whole Vanderbilt thing will be the push he needs to sort of make this book a top contender. It's sort of a middling of the road book right now. It's not bad, but it's not great. I could have taken or leave reading this. But it's still nice to see this sort of story. I'll pause for everything but the drink. I want you all here for this. Next is Jay Garrick, The Flash. Now, this book has not let me down a single moment. Like, oh god, this has been gold. So, when we last left off with this book, Jay Garrick had gone to, why did all of a sudden I forget his name? To find out about Dr. Elemental, which is still a cool name. And he found out the diary and finding out about, hey, this dude's origin and the role he played in creating the Flash. Turns out it wasn't an accident. And, why Judy is important to Dr. Elemental's plan. And so then it turns out that, hey, he's been watching, Hughes, Professor Hughes, or Dr. Elemental. He's been hearing everything from the secretary, who's also a robot. And, hey, robot goes boom, as you should. And because they're speedsters, they get everybody out, which is sort of what they do. And I love this look on Jay's face. We're like, what are we going to do? He's like, no, Judy. Garrix don't run. They don't run away. Not ever. We're gonna go after him. And I love it. I love it. So let's go. I love this face. Jay Garrick is becoming the most hardcore Flash ever. He's like, no, man. We're Garrix. Garrix don't run. They just get faster. Which is the plot of pretty much every Flash story. What are you going to do? I'm going to get faster. We don't run away. We run after the bad guys. We're going to make Dr. Elemental run. And then we're going to catch him. Because we run, Judy. We're speedsters. We got to go fast. It's the thing. Anyway, so they go to Brazil. And they hook up with... Night Owl. I'm about to say Night Owl. No. Dr. Midnight. Alright? And they go to his underground lab and they're sort of trying to figure out exactly more about Judy and sort of exactly where Professor Hughes is. So, as they go through, it turns out, hey, Hughes is attacking already with the Robo-Bear and his... Are those little Terminators? Those little T-1000s? So anyway, they go in, they get dressed. Judy is told to stay down there because Dr. Elemental's after her. So they go in, and Dr. Midnight and Jay, put the hurt on him. Oh, I love this page. It's nice. It's always nice to see JSA doing JSA things. So they go in. Oh, that's a booty. Judy's like, oh, so boring. So boring. I'm the boom. And besides that, so we never run from danger. So it really is his fault as Judy goes off to justify her getting involved. Dr. Miller's like, hey, how you doing? So, I'm here for you. And I love it. She's like, Dr. Elemental, you've come to the wrong place. But I was like, no, are you kidding? I specifically came here looking for you, and here you are. Knock her out, boys. So she's knocked out. She's taken. He's like, you know what? I'm really not here to play a game. I'm just here to kidnap you and go. And so they go. And so, Robo-Bear is feeling pretty cute right now. Like, ha ha ha. We took Judy. You can't do anything now. Now I teleport away. Why haven't I teleported away? Dr. Midnight like, so, yeah, fun thing. When I hit you earlier, I disabled that. So you're stuck here. And Jay finding out that Dr. Elemental has taken his daughter. His daughter, who he had spent over 50 years, at least, not knowing existed, and just found out he had a daughter, is in no mood. Like, so, no. Bear, you're gonna stay here. You're gonna tell me everything I need to know to find Dr. Elemental and find my daughter. Okay? And the bear's like, oh no. And I kept thinking of Liam Neeson in Taken. It's like, look, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you. Because you're a robot bear. Doesn't violate any of my codes. Also, I'm from World War II. Alright? Trust me. No problem killing. Alright? That's how the comic ends. So, this was fun. I think really the selling point of this is always going to be Judy and Jay. Like, if you didn't get it before, this is about them. This is about their role in the story. And I don't quite know how to... My only problem with the story is how is this played to the greater story of the DC Universe? This definitely comes about by the whole Flashpoint, Rebirth, Doomsday Clock, Flashpoint Beyond... Jeff Johns' JSA, which finally hit 3 issues for me to talk about it again. So I don't quite know how this plays in overall, as well as things like Dawn of DC and the current DC continuity. I need to actually read Beast Wars, actually. But that's a good event. I don't know. Superman's doing the House of Brainiac, Green Lantern. That's neither here nor there. Overall, though, this is still fun. It's exciting. Again, I think Jay and Judy are much more interesting than Wesley Dodds, at least how Wesley Dodds is being presented here. And Dr. Elemental is just so egotistically fun. I love him. And also, just again, the coolest name, Dr. Elemental. We meet again. All right, I brought the Avatar this time, so you ain't got nothing. Finally, we have Alan Scott, Green Lantern, issue 5, Seeing Red, and yeah. So I've heard some people talk about this, like, hey, the story's finally getting good. I think it's finally about something. I think this story fails as a way to sort of endear you to Alan Scott. I don't think this is the story. But then again, I don't think I've ever found a good Alan Scott story. In the sense that it better explains who he is as a character. Like, why he puts on the ring. I never read those early ones, so I don't know. All I know of Alan Scott is from the JSA run with Jeff Johns. So, I like Alan. I think he's a fun character. But, if this is his origin, I was like, he got better with time. So anyway, if you recall last time we saw it, he got the whole story about Johnny. And it turns out that Johnny's with the Soviets. He's the Red Lantern. His whole life has been a lie. Like, you thought I loved you. No, I didn't. I was a spy. Yeah, I'm not even Vlad. Because, I'm Russian. It's Russian. It's whatnot. Vlad Sokov and whatnot. Like, so Alan getting all his feelings and not having a Green Lantern to charge his ring up, used the Red Lantern, and now he's putting the hurt on his apparently toxic ex. And he's like, Johnny's like, you shouldn't do that, man. You shouldn't do that. All right, and the fight ensues. There's some sort of fun bits, like Johnny gets in his face, like, hey, so, all those guys that were killed, they all look like me. I'm flattered, but dude, you need help. This is sort of like a very sort of toxic and emotional relationship, but it's also sort of understanding that maybe Johnny is lying, all right? Vlad is lying. That it wasn't just a thing for him. Like, it wasn't just a job. He may at some point actually have caught feelings for Alan. But whatever. Meanwhile, there's talk of Soviet submersibles being discovered off Rikers Island in New York. There's sort of not much to say about that, other than, I guess, Alan's butler is Alfred. I never bothered to know his name. Goes off like, oh, might need it. Alan, meanwhile, is starting to feel the stress of using a red energy source in his green ring, which I don't think has ever really happened before. Like, I know in the Lost Army Green Lantern book, Guy was using both a red and green ring, but that's still not the same. This is sort of like using a different energy source to power your car. Like, it's probably going to give you a lot of extra power, but it's probably going to burn out the engine. So the fight sort of ensues, and the question is, Alan's like, look, you got to stop this, all right? You got to think. Why are you following all these other orders? Look, just come clean. I use all my resources to get you, make sure you're treated fairly and well. And he's like, no, dude, all right? The red light is keeping me alive, all right? And he sort of feels like, hey, kind of let them kill me, because that's how much I love my country, and the red light, the red flame, kept bringing me back each time. Meanwhile, Alfred goes up there, with takes the lantern, fires the lantern, it hits Alan, and there we go. Alan ends up in like this sort of green room with a guy that looks like, I guess the dude he was getting a booty call from every now and then. Like, yeah, we took this form. We're the Green Flame, actually. And it's time we inform you exactly what we are. Alright? So we're from something called the Starheart. And the Starheart was a source of green, somewhat malevolent energy, kind of vague. Look, eons ago, the Guardians wanted to find an energy source to help keep the peace in the universe. And if you know anything about the Guardians of the universe, they really suck at their job. But, so they found us. We weren't quite working out. We were a bit too chaotic, one would say. And sometimes the word malevolence is used. But, whatever. So they sealed us away, and a little piece of it broke off. All right? And then something else followed. That's the red flame. All right? And, so we came down here, and we latched onto you. Why? Because of all the certain attributes you have. You have an amazing will, Alan Scott. All right, you keep going. And it talks about the fact that throughout this story, we found out Alan's been willing to sacrifice himself to save his friends. He's been willing to help his friends escape the asylum, to help out. Like, these are all things that make Alan interesting. All right, at the moments would show him as a hero. The problem is all the other stuff he talks about sort of waters down from us for us, the reader. The thing is, if Alan sees someone in need of help, he helps them. All right, he doesn't care if society says they shouldn't get help. He doesn't care if anything. Alan's bad at his own life. He's good at everything else. It's kind of it. He's like every other classic superhero. I can get everything situated but myself. Superman's got his head on right. And he also tells him, like, hey, look, so, yeah, you sort of died. We brought you back. So, there you go. Don't mess with that red flame again like that. Don't. Also, tell Soviet Boy that something else is coming. And he probably won't listen. But give it one more shot. See what happens. We doubt it. But, yeah. Yeah, go do that. Go try to fix this. Alright, so he comes out, and he's like, hey, I got something to tell you, man. Something's coming, and when he's like, he doesn't want to listen, like, okay, dude, look at that. Like, cause, it was like, the Emerald Flame was right. Like, excuse me? Like, look, he's like, those look like my Crimson Energy Blast. What's going on? So, I was like, so, you know that stuff that's above your clearance level, stuff you don't get to know? I have a question. So apparently missing Soviet sub is sort of washed up in New York City, and it turns out these are his replacements, alright? The Crimson Host. In other words, so each time that the Soviets used the Red Flame to kill Johnny, to bring him back to experiment on, they were also giving it to other people. I'm like, oh. So in other words, Johnny has never been that important. Once they figured out they could give the Red Flame to other people, he just became the sort of, just another wheel in the machine, really. This is the real power, alright? And as they're all getting jumped, because, you know, the numbers, the red flame, just ain't working out, and even breaks the ring, what do the heroes do? Well, luckily, the JSA is here. I'm like, yeah, look at that. Our Man, Atom Smasher, Dr. Fate, Hawkman, the Spectre. Someone else back there? No. Sandman. It's Wesley. Did I say Our Man? And my boy Jay Garrick. Alright, look at that. Common JSAW. You'll love to see it. Overall, Green Lantern, Alan Scott Green Lantern issue 5 is possibly the best one so far. Again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Snagglepuss Chronicles does the character better and also the setting better. Alright? I think had this story been allowed to sort of breathe more, we'd have seen a bigger story. Maybe Tim Sheridan hadn't been the one writing it. We've probably seen a more cohesive story, because all we're seeing is Alan Scott do nothing. Like, everything we hear about that makes Alan Scott a great person happens in the past. And sure, that's interesting. And Alan's a great person for doing that, but at the end of the day, there's still nothing of interest happening to Alan in the current time outside of these murders. We get a little glimpse into Alan's relationship with the JSA, which is tenuous at best, which is really just a Spectre and Jay being friendly. Spectre like, look, dude, God doesn't hate you. There you go. It's kind of it. Who is Alan Scott to the present day? How was Green Lantern perceived by the present day? You know, I don't see that there, and I think that would have really helped. I would have liked to hear Alan's opinion on other superheroes, as opposed to, like, I work alone. Like, he's not Batman. He's not. Also, fun fact, if you go by Batman Hush, when Bruce and I think Tommy went to Metropolis, they did see Alan Scott flying through. So it would have been nice if he'd seen that, like, hey, it's Bruce Wayne, spoiled rich kid, won't amount to much. You know, that would have been fun. But, you know, whatever. I don't think this story is as bad as people made it out to be, or as much as I complained about. But it did take too long for this sort of really get interesting. I think the problem is that it is lacking sort of day-to-day life. Like, who is Alan, again, when he's not Green Lantern? You know? If there's one thing Watchmen got right, is like, hey, who are these people when they're not superheroes? Or who are they when they're not wearing the costume? Who is Alan Scott when he's not wearing the costume? All he sounds like just some dude just likes to pork other dudes. So, yeah. So with that in mind, we'll close here. If you're new to the Bucket Thing, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out some of my videos. This is like 1 o'clock in the morning when I'm making this. So I'll catch you all later. This is Bucket Thing signing off. Thanks for watching. As always, may your fandom serve you well.